So we can start this thing. So welcome everyone to the regular meeting, public hearing and workshop of the July 14th Town Board meeting. Please join me while we pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have some personnel issues to discuss in executive session. So may I have
a motion.
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Donna, we'll see you back at 7:05. Okay, I'll be here. Okay.
I don't need my notice. They just got it.
So, how was France?
See you in a bit.
Yes, I'll be here.
Cough all you want now.
That's right. Doesn't tickle now, it'll be when everybody comes back.
And
Commission.
what we'll be doing at some point is going down to the table after we have our public hearing. Okay? Should we, here comes Dave. Okay, so can I have a motion to return from executive session?
Make a motion?
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. No decisions were made. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is the public hearing for Local Law 2. Madam Clerk, could you please read the notice?
Please take notice that the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park shall hold a public hearing on Monday, July 14th, 2014, at 7:05 p.m. at the Hyde Park Town Hall, 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York, on the proposed adoption of Local Law 2 of 2014, entitled A Local Law Amending Section 108-4.3 D3B of the Town of Hyde Park Code. The local law amends Section 108-4.3 D3B of the Town Code to clarify the section relating to the storage of commercial motor vehicles on residential lots. Any person desiring to be heard on said local law shall be provided with an opportunity to do so at the public hearing. A copy of the proposed local law is on file at the office of the Town Clerk during regular business hours. By order of the Town Board, dated June 20th, 2014, Hyde Park, New York, Donna McGrogan, Town Clerk.
Thank you. Ms. McGrogan? Okay,
Could we just ask the town attorney to just give us
Sure.
a brief overview?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a very, very simple amendment to a provision of the code. It's not a radical change. In dealing with a recent case involving the section of the code regarding the parking of commercial motor vehicles on unenclosed on residential lots, we discovered that the code amendment, which took place in 2009, did not define the term residential lot for purposes of this section. So all we did was we're hoping to enact a simple amendment to the code to define the term residential lot to mean any lot improved by a single-family, two-family, or a multifamily residence and occupied for residential purposes, or any lot, whether vacant or improved, within the town's neighborhood district. And the reason we focused on the town neighborhood district, Emily, you probably could give us a little bit
Well, just
background.
because the neighborhood zone is primarily a residential zone, and so it just kind of closes a loophole as far as what's defined as residential.
Otherwise, the provisions with regard to parking of commercial vehicles on residential lots has not been changed at all. It remains exactly the same as it was, except for this definition.
okay, so it's essentially more of a clarification than it is a revision, because we're actually just defining the term residential. Okay, so thank you for that clarification. So at this time, I'd like to invite anyone up from the public to speak. Please state your name, your address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, if you would.
Hi, Jeanette
Hi.
Martino, 13 Franklin Road. I know the purpose was to give clarity to it, but the original law also, I think, needs a lot of work to it. It does lack clarity in its two law, and for the following reasons. There's a failure, basically, to identify what a commercial vehicle is. If you go to the town code and you look under what commercial general use is, it's anything that identifies with a advertisement or enterprise or occupation for profit. Now, if you think about some of the state roads here, they say no commercial vehicles. And what that is that includes cars that have those logos of advertisements, names of occupations that are related to businesses. They are commercial vehicles that are excluded from that. So in that broad sense, are they commercial for the purpose of this law? The other thing is DMV regulation. You have commercial plates on private vehicles for personal use. And VMW establishes not by their potential use, but by weight, which means we have a great number of pickup trucks and a great number of trucks that have to have the commercial plates on them because they are 5,500 pounds or more. And that those are the mid-sized to large pickup trucks. Are they now considered commercial because they have commercial plates on them? Are they going to be included? So there are lack of clarity in just what a commercial vehicle is. And when you add that to the purpose, as Mr. Rapansky has mentioned, parking, and in the law, in the purpose, it mentions parking and storage synonymously. So where does parking end? So I think Councilman Snyder's, I think your concerns about people coming back with vehicles with businesses on them, people coming from their office and using their private residences to park commercial vehicles, I think, yes, that is a question that should be brought up and should be addressed. The other thing is that in the original law, you only have the owner of a house can only park the vehicle if it's in their name, but that excludes children with pickup trucks that might need to park in their parents' driveways, but if they have commercial plates on it, if commercial plates qualify as a commercial vehicle, they're prohibited from this. So are people who rent in parking lots from their apartments. So there's a lot, I think, that needs to be discussed and a lot of tweaking that needs to go forward before this becomes a law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Martino. Would anyone else like to come on up? Hi.
Hi. My name is Pat Sheehan, and I live at 53 Green Tree Drive South in Hyde Park. And I know that the purpose of this law is to help us with particular place on the corner of Green Tree Park, which has been terrible, to say the least. But we've lived at that address, my husband and I, for 48 years. We were only in our 20s when we purchased this house. It was our lifelong dream to own a home. We, put a lot of time and money, and we've kept it all up, and had a wonderful community of neighbors. And then all of a sudden, in recent years, there's been a downward spiral in this neighborhood in the form of the houses with unkempt yards. They have multiple unregistered cars amassed in driveways and parked on their lawns. A lot of other unsightly things that are kind of an embarrassment to those of us who keep our houses neat and tidy. The first sight that a visitor sees when they come to our home is the point where we have directed them to turn left 1.2 miles north of the East Park Light and proceed over the bridge. Well, they all kind of gawk and run off the road looking at the gas station out there. I use the term loosely. We used to say the Gulf Station because it was at one time a lovely Gulf station. It was a business owned by a man who lived in Green Tree Park. There was a store next to it owned by a family who lived in Green Tree Park. And then over the years, the gas station was owned by several other people, each one a little less successful than the last one, until finally it just became this horrible building that could use a Scud missile probably. But then there were 4 large trucks that were parked there, at least 4 trucks that belonged to the Elmendorfs who lived across the street, and as bad as we thought that was at the time, it was nothing compared to what's there now. Lockwood's store was rented by Sonny, who had Sonny's Deli there. Was a fine business, no problem, but since that's been closed, that's all run down. So people are just parking these unsightly equipment with questionable operating condition, as I would say. The spot has also become a place for dumping. Right now, there's a huge couch sitting there that's been out in the rain for several weeks, just sitting right on that property. So, anything that you could do to change this law so we can at least get those grungy trucks and things out of there, and maybe get some, legal things done so that we can get that thing torn down, closed, and, just maybe make at least the entrance to our park. We've lived there all these years, and now we're in our 70s, and, if we wanted to sell our house and get out of there, it'd be a challenge. We have that entrance, and then you come by, and there's some lovely houses, and then all of a sudden you've got 5 of them there with things parked all over the place, and, it's just not an easy thing for us to deal with. But I want to thank Emily for helping as much as she can, and all of the board, but particularly Emily has been working on this to try to help our situation. And I just hope that you'll all continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, please. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Larry Keller. 1 Jonathan Drive, Hyde Park. I live up in Golden Meadows, but have family that lives in the Green Tree development, and I've been passing by that corner of it for days, weeks, years, and it just seems disgraceful for the town of Hyde Park. As the first speaker was talking all about the motor vehicle laws, excellent knowledge of that. I can't get into any of that depth. The second person I agree strongly with because of the environmental issues. But just a couple of basic, just very common sense questions. When a person who owns or who owned that property, when they no longer pay their land tax, their school tax, their county tax, do they not forfeit their rights to that property, or are they allowed to then sublet it to any person that decides to park there, whether it's for money or not for money? Then just today, I've seen also for the past week or two, the sofa that's out there, comments were made to me, maybe they're starting a tourism center and this is the beginning of it. I told them, no, that's not correct. Just the other day, I see another vehicle, not the 3 or 4 big commercial trucks, but a regular vehicle with a for sale sign. Now, and I'm wondering, does this also give anybody the right to set up another business, whether it's a used car business, parking trucks, storing furniture, without trying to do the entire motor vehicle rewrite in law? Since they have not paid any taxes, even if a condemnation was issued on the property where, sure, it could cost $500,000 to dig up that property and find out what's buried below, but since nobody is going to do that, whether it's the state or the county, with your powers and ability to work with the county attorney as well as local, couldn't that property be just condemned and then make it either a wetland or a greenway? Just take local equipment from the county, in one day that entire building could be demolished. Just throw a little grass seed on it, plant it, don't develop it, because right now, whether it's the county, the town, or the state, nobody is getting any remuneration from it other than local people getting tremendous aggravation. And with all the vacancies of all the stores that have been leaving on the 9G corridor and elsewhere, this does not help the total beautification of Hyde Park or how families feel. And that's my type of question, just a common sense. Do these people that supposedly owned it have the right to just let other people go there?
Mr. Keller, I very much appreciate your comments, and if you don't mind, public hearings are really to give statements and not to get into a dialogue, but what I'd like to do is, once everyone has spoken, address some of your excellent questions and give everyone an update as to what we have done and what the status of this particular property is, because I have to say, I've wondered those same things myself for many years before I got in this position, so I very much appreciate your comments, and then we'll address them kind of as a whole.
Sure.
So thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
James Horan, 130 Cream Street, Hyde Park. With respect to the local law, I have some grave concerns with respect to this again is prohibiting the parking of commercial vehicles, and it says whether vacant or improved within the town's neighborhood district. That covers an awful lot of properties. It covers St. Peter's School, Regina Chaley School and Church, Hyde Park Elementary, St. James Episcopal Church, St. Timothy's Lutheran Church, Hyde Park Baptist Church. It covers all of the town's water and sewer facilities in Greenfields, in Pine Brook. So my question is this law intended to prohibit the parking of commercial vehicles at all of those properties? Is St. Peter's School and Regina Chaley Church going to be required to get a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals to hold a carnival? How does this affect the operations of VRI on the town water and sewer plants? And if they're transferred to Dutchess County, how would it apply in that case? This is, I think, a very, very overreaching law. I don't think the ramifications have been thought out in any manner. I also think with respect to other existing businesses, there's a number of businesses in the neighborhood district, Hilltop Deli on Route 9, the cemetery, the Barry Memorials on Crum Elbow Road, as well as the Memorial Place on Route 9G. All these businesses are located within the neighborhood district. So on its face, this seems to prohibit parking of commercial vehicles in those locations. As Mrs. Martino noted, there doesn't seem to be a definition of commercial vehicles, so it's unclear whether that means just vehicles with commercial plates or actually commercial vehicles. I'm concerned as a parishioner in St. Peter's as a parent of a child in St. Peter's School, that I think that this is going to, and a resident of the town of Hyde Park, that these are going to have very serious unintended consequences. Thank you.
Thank you for those pointed comments. Thank you, Mr. Haran. Would anyone else like to come on up and make some comments on our local law?
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Allison Hildwin. I live on 54 Green Tree Drive South, Hyde Park. And I understood this revision in the law to maybe some of the confusion that the gentleman before me talked about. There's a big difference between parking vehicles and storing vehicles. Parking means you're using them. You get up, you go to work, you come back, they're clean, they're used, there's a paved parking lot, the property is maintained, it's a business, it's adding infrastructure to the town, it's adding money, it's adding shopping, it's adding jobs, it's adding to the economy. When you're storing vehicles, I live in that property now 6.5 years, and I have not seen those vehicles budge. So storing, where they grow into the ground and they're being taken over by, you know, weeds taller than myself, poison sumac taller than myself, furniture dumping, vandalism, graffiti, big difference between parking and storing. So I think that's maybe some clarification that might be needed in the verbiage of what we're trying to accomplish here. If it's something that, you know, somebody's going to set up a UPS store and there's going to be UPS trucks coming in and out and it's going to help, or, you know, we're going to have a Dunkin' Donuts and it's going to have delivery trucks in and out parking, that's very different than storing vehicles that are not being used. We don't know where or if they're ever being used, and they're squatters. They're not paying anything to anybody for property that someone has absconded on a long time ago for things they don't want to deal with or pay with. So I think that's where I'm understanding, and my other neighbors in Green Tree are trying to clarify parking versus storing. So if that
Thank you
helps.
for that. Very
Okay.
good point. Appreciate that. Thank you. Would anyone else like to come on up and speak about our local law? Okay, we're still waiting for the planning board's response, so we'll be keeping the public hearing open till our next meeting at least. And I guess do I have a motion to close it temporarily?
To continue it, I
And to
think.
continue it, okay, to continue it. Okay, so do I have a motion?
Motion?
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So I really do appreciate everyone's comments. I would just, at this time, just to like to give the public a bit of an update on where we are with the Green Tree Corner. I know that's something that you're all, from that part of 9G, concerned about. And this is something that Emily and myself and Warren have been working on really for well over a year. We've traveled up to Albany, met with the state comptroller and the county in an effort to remedy this situation. So one of the questions that Mr. Keller asked is, do they continue to pay taxes? And the answer is that they haven't paid taxes in probably 2 decades. But what happens is the county makes the town whole, so the county does pay the town for their taxes. So we are still receiving those tax dollars, but it doesn't give them. They haven't forfeited any rights. The property owner, Mr. Talwar, even though he hasn't paid his taxes, the county has decided not to go through with the tax sale, partially because of the lien that exists because of the DEC cleanup, and that, I believe, is around $500,000. So in our efforts with to come up with a solution, we have made some progress with the DEC, and they have agreed, in theory anyway, to waive part of substantial part, if not all, almost all of that lien if the town were to go ahead and pursue this. And so that's really, we're talking with the county right now about how much they would be willing to waive. And, this seems to be about the only solution that we have, because as one of the speakers tonight mentioned, it's a situation with a squatter who actually doesn't have permission to utilize that property according to the property owner. So we are trying in our earnestly to come up with a way to force this off-center and find a remedy for the people that live there. So
We're kind of trying multiple routes
simultaneously, and we strongly feel badly, and we feel very badly for the people who live in that neighborhood. And it's kind of strange to me that someone would defend the right of a squatter to keep dumpy trucks there. And I think if it was perhaps their neighborhood, they wouldn't feel that way, but that's just the way some people are. So, but we're advocating for it. We're trying to solve the problem. We were trying to confine it to a clarification rather than making it far-reaching. So, I appreciate the comments that were made, because we are still waiting for the response from the planning board, and we'll take them all under consideration and keep everybody posted. Emily, do you have some more?
I just wanted to point out, I don't have the law in front of me, but I believe it does not prohibit parking. It says that you can get if it's in compliance with a site plan, it's allowed.
Right.
But in the absence of a site plan is when it's prohibited, correct? So if there are businesses or other entities, they would be able to have vehicles parked there if they were under a site plan.
That's right.
Just want to
The
clarify
existing
that.
law covers more storage. The woman who
Yeah.
made that statement is absolutely
That's
correct.
exactly right, because it says,
And that has not been changed.
Right.
That's exactly-
Right, the ultimate goal is to get that corner cleaned up.
That's
And we're
right.
trying to do everything we can to get that corner cleaned up. And I know Emily has been diligent from the day one that she has been voted in. And it's a disgrace going by there. I go by there all the time, and I feel sorry for the residents that have to pull in there, and Emily's one of them. Your councilwoman's one of them. And so whatever we can do as a town board, or whatever I can do to assist.
well,
I'm in.
and I mean, if you look at the big picture, it's reducing everybody's values who live in Green Tree, right? And that hurts not only residents, it hurts the town as a whole. It hurts the other taxpayers. And so, I mean, there's additional incentives rather than just the visual and the people right in that neighborhood. It has an effect on the whole town. So thanks, Emily, for bringing that up, because it does clearly state that lots within the town's neighborhood district which are not being utilized for commercial purposes pursuant to an approved site plan of the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board. So it's clearly would not affect some of the properties that one of the gentlemen mentioned. So, but yet we're definitely going to take this under advisement and get back to everyone. It's, as like a lot of these things, they're works in progress. That doesn't just happen automatically. That's one thing I've learned in government. So very thankful for everyone coming out on that. Okay, so we now have 5 items on our workshop agenda, and what I'd like to do is suggest that we all go down to the workshop table. And I know this makes the media people crazy, but we have a lot of guests tonight. We have our Recreation Commission, and I'm sure it would be a lot more beneficial for us to sit down at the
Green Tree
table.
residents, thank you for coming out
Yep.
tonight, and we'll keep you guys posted.
So
for
let's
sure.
let's move this down to our table, and
What do we need?
I'm thinking we can probably learn how to do this ourselves.
Oh, the mics.
Is this yours?
That's yours. You
You're an attorney.
Sorry, Herb.
Yeah, that's because I gotta get plugged in up here.
Can I help you, Herb? We need to know how to do this.
Too many wires for me, I don't know.
Honorary members of the meeting committee.
You'll have to give us a little instructive.
Do other towns also, or?
No, I just do Hyde Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do the other meetings as well.
Nice.
Our first house in Redmond, business called Lease Once. Right away to this utmost to make the house beautiful. And they had all this junk there. And he made his driveway to keep 5 points for old tire. He must have been very unhappy. Get our exercise. These are the four.
I don't need it right now. Thank you.
We've got a lot of paper tonight. It's cool in here, isn't it? Yeah. Whoops, yeah. But it's hard when you're sitting here. You gotta have something to look at.
What up, bro? Great.
A little wet.
Yeah, we got wet, but you know, the people who came appreciated it. People who came
They
appreciated it.
did, it's true.
I didn't realize that.
And I- Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thank them.
Okay. Where'd TC go? It's been a long day for you, sir. Wait, what did I do with my?
Where are we?
You don't need all this. That's fine.
That's it.
Yeah, there you go. Wait, I think you
Oh,
want this
shoot.
here.
I was supposed to do public comment and resolutions only. No,
We
I
can-
can do that after.
We can do it after. That's okay.
Just have done it. It's okay. They can sit. Okay. They can stand right there. Sure, yeah, okay. All right, TC. You're going to give us an update on the, it's basically a 6-month report on our finances and our budget.
Right, this is traditional 6-month performance report of the 2014 budget. It's customary that the comptroller report or any finance director report on the progress of a municipal government 6 months into the into your fiscal year. So I'm going to review the two major funds, the general fund and the highway fund. I tried to condense this into one page. So if you have additional questions on the special districts or capital funds, you can give me an email or call me about it. But I'm going to cover the general and highway fund in a little more detail. The adopted budget for the general fund was $5,823,515. It's been reduced down to $5,774,057, basically by reducing some excess appropriations in the benefits. So it was reduced approximately $50,000 at this point now. Of course, that's subject to change. That's through 6 months. The expenditures to date are about $2,600,000, which is 45% of the budget, which is normal. It's close to 50% of the operating year. The contingent account balance is down to $40,000. That's your little nest egg or your reserve.
What did we start with, TC?
Well, we started with $125,000.
And we used
there's-
for salt.
No, this is the general fund.
Okay.
There's general transfers. I probably can email that schedule to you. It's quite lengthy. That tells you where the monies were transferred to. I'll give you some of the major ones. Workers' comp insurance.
It's okay. You can do it by email if you want.
Certain studies, appraisals, salaries, adjusting sidewalk cleaning that we incurred this winter because of the harsh winter. Some variable ones, but I'll send you the detail list. There's many on there.
Okay.
But it was budgeted to be used for those types of things as they came up. Yeah.
It's there for unexpected expenditures, yeah, or excesses. That's why you always have to have contingent account in budgets. The largest variable expense account in the general fund, of course, is the police overtime budget line, which has been about 63% consumed to date. Historically, we have under budgeted that particular account as a management tool. We do keep a certain amount in the contingent account in case he runs up to that. That's a variable account. It depends a lot on training and a lot of, based on what activities occur in the police department, especially if there's special investigations.
Do we have a sense of if the staff appointments from last meeting will help the overtime?
I'm not really sure. One of the reasons the overtime is high is we've had a lot of injuries, so it
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
depends on who gets brought back and how. I think that's really going to have that
There's been
impact.
2 officers on 207C
Yeah.
for quite a bit of time.
Yep, so it's,
The police staff compensation in the budget will have to be adjusted. We haven't done that yet for the union contract settlement, and of course, some of that money is going to have to come from the reserve, this contingent account. As far as the revenues to date, 65% of the revenues estimate has been collected. Of course, that's, a misnomer because majority of that is taxes, and that's collected up front. The revised budget includes $50,000 roughly for use of fund balance and reserves. The mortgage tax revenue count, I'm a little disturbed about because it's running about $30,000 below budget estimate, $29,782. We made a budget estimate by month, and it's running below budget estimate. I thought there'd be some activity, bless you, usually in the spring market, March and April, with higher than normal sales because the mortgage market has turned around in certain areas, but it hasn't particularly turned around in the town of Hyde Park yet. The building permit fees are running also below budget, roughly $21,000. So what I'm going to do is I will communicate to the board some intentions to adjust those budget estimates down. Of course, we can't look at the expenditure side. That's the normal procedure to reduce expenditures. We're probably going to have to appropriate money from the fund balance to match the budget. In the highway fund, the adopted budget of $3,010,000 was revised upward to $3,019,000, basically for snow removal expenditures. The expenditures to date are $1,580,956, which is 52% of the budget, which is normal. Of course, the largest variable expense account in the snow budget is assault purchases. The original budget was $260,940. We revised it up because the expenditures to date are $288,842, and of course, we don't know what's going to happen in November and December. That was because of the unusual winter you had. We still have money sitting in the snow reserve contingency account of about $100,000, and more than likely, that will have to be utilized for salt purchases or overtime during November
did
and
we,
December.
where are we on our salt shed? Do we know?
On the amount that's sitting there?
Yeah, 'cause
I don't know. I usually
maybe-
take an inventory with the highway superintendent probably around September and October.
'Cause my recollection is that when we ordered a lot of salt.
I think
that was-
if I recall, we ordered some, and then we had snow go to rain, and we didn't utilize
Right,
it all.
we didn't
so-
have to utilize it,
Right.
so.
So there's probably a decent stockpile there. We did appropriate a special $50,000, you recall, in the budget revisions for drainage repairs after a meeting with the highway superintendent.
Yeah.
That was in, I believe, the April revisions, to make special drainage repairs based on the unusual winter, and we've consumed about $14,000 of that
So
to date.
we still have about 35 then.
Right.
Left, 35,000 in that.
And I don't know what's been,
That was at the end of
utilized
June,
since, but this
so,
is the actual
yeah.
payments. The revenues to date, of course, we've collected 91% of the revenues to date, and of course, that's the majority of that is the tax levy. So we'll see how that goes through the rest of the year. And
Okay.
if you have any particular questions, you have an attachment that gives you the general and highway fund. We give you that detail. You can look at that, and call me, email me, but you'll see the normal accounts that and I put some notes on some of the accounts. So if you have any questions.
Okay.
Tom, the mortgage tax revenue says down. Is that in Dutchess County also? Or
I haven't really made a comparison of the other towns. We do get the other towns, but we're actually below last year's performance, which I thought there would be a change.
Yeah.
So it's the same, we had the same budget total because when we exceeded last year's budget estimate by about 30,000, I thought we were safe with the budget estimate this year, but we're running below last year's monthly numbers.
It might have been a lot of refinances last year when the mortgage
Yeah, it
rates
could have been.
dropped. And they have been going
They
up.
haven't-
They've been inching up
The
a little bit.
refinances probably
Yeah.
fell in the market last year, and this, talk of a banker friend of mine, the refinances have fell off.
Yeah, yeah, because the rates are inching up a little bit, I think. But where's the, I'm curious, I should look into it, where this county is with their sales tax. If we'll be getting any overage or not.
Yeah.
That might help. So I got to make contact with the county and see where they are with that. So we're still reeling from the absence of
Yeah,
that
the
sales
agreement
tax.
calls for payment of an overage
If it
actually
exceeds
realizes.
that
Yeah.
$25 million
Right.
cap, so I'll check into that and see. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to cover a couple of reports that we've authorized, special studies, et cetera. In early 2014, we authorized an independent evaluation of your telecom services. This is the internet, Verizon, cell phones, et cetera, cable TV. You have in front of you a 3-page final report, basically, from the consultant. And they didn't find anything major in the telecom services, okay? I didn't think they would. They said the long distance, the Verizon services are basically being billed exactly as per contract. There was
TC.
no tax filings, et cetera. Yes.
Can you just kind of review what this is? I'm not sure if everybody knows. So basically, we
hired a consultant.
We hired a consultant to look and see if we're
Right.
being properly charged.
Right,
for
and what they do, if they found any overage or any costings being impended on municipalities, they would recover the money and you'd pay them 40% fee. There was no fee paid for the service. But they didn't have any major findings. If you read this report, and I spoke to him on the phone, nothing glaring, and from what he explains to me, he says really in smaller governments, they don't find much. They find more in authority type of complexes or people that have port authorities and stuff like that. And you'll see that on the final page, he gives you the recommendations. There's only 2 recommendations, really. Consider the need for caller ID on the phone lines that have it, and that franchise agreement, which is now that study's been moved over to the other consultant, that the franchise agreement with Cablevision is ending in December of this year. That contract ends. I think it was a
Does it
5-year.
end? Okay.
I think it's a
End.
5-year agreement, and you have to renegotiate the agreement. You probably, we'll talk about that at a separate meeting. Usually you hire a firm to evaluate your current agreement and to see if that should be revised. It's very technical agreements, those agreements. They're saying consider negotiating to have all municipal buildings receive free basic internet access. You do not have that here, and I was surprised because I know my previous employer, we didn't get charged for Cablevision, internet access, nothing. You are being charged by your cable provider here, and that's usually part of the agreement, so we really got to get
Take a
that
look
covered
at
in the
that.
agreement. Okay. So that's what they're recommending. So look this report over. It's a very brief report. There's no glaring findings, so if you have any questions,
TC,
Contact.
under Verizon Centrex, it mentions the fire department. That shouldn't be on the town's bill, should it? Maybe it's just a clerical error, I don't know.
which one is that? Where are you here?
Verizon Centrex, about, I don't know, just below halfway down the page. See where I mean?
I think this is the line they found it discontinued, but we weren't getting charged for it. I'll check
Okay,
that. There was one. That might be the
Not a
one.
big deal.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out about that, though. That happens to be, is it Roosevelt or Hyde Park, you know, that number?
I
Is
don't
that
know.
familiar? All right,
It
I'll
would
look into
probably
that.
be, oh, no, yeah, 229 is.
He did
all
find,
Hyde
he
Park.
did find deadlines, what they call deadlines, but no charge. There's lines on the bill, but there's no current cost. So then maybe that's what that is. I'll look into it. The next consultant agreement that you authorized was the audit of the utilities bills, okay? And that's the gas, electric, et cetera. This company is doing it now. It's called COMPTROLLER. We did that in a separate resolution. That's quite a thorough review. We haven't got a report back. I just want to bring you up to date. When we get a report, progress on that, And I've also given them the franchise agreement review, so we moved it from the other one to close out that one vendor. So you'll see, this is an email of correspondence asking for an update. He hasn't had that anything right, but it normally takes 4 or 5 months to get some sort of a progress report. And the last thing I want to bring you up to date is, we did send out RFPs for the fleet study, your motor vehicle fleet study, which was authorized by resolution of the town board in 2013. We got only one proposal back, but it's the proposal from the renowned company that does this type of work for governments. And I just attached the fee proposal page. I'm going to send you the full proposal, which details exactly what each task is. What we want to do is evaluate basically the tasks that they're describing, what they will perform. I will communicate back to them about, is this the bottom line fee? More than likely it's not. I probably can get them down further. I'm a firm believer that this should be done for one reason. It'll give you an independent evaluation, because it may find that you are over-equipped in certain areas, okay? Looking at the fleet, I know there's some concerns that you might be forced to buy a lot of vehicles. That's not the intent of the study. The intent of the study is to really evaluate whether your current fleet is adequate. Basically the two, the highway department, whether you have enough snow trucks, plows, et cetera, and whether the police department has enough vehicles. And for insurance liability purposes, especially the police department, you want to make sure that if your fleet, that the town should have a fleet of 8 vehicles, 5 marked or 3 unmarked. You want to make sure that's, properly staffed.
Does it
so.
evaluate the age and the condition of the
Yeah,
vehicles?
we'll give that also, yeah. But we have very good records, okay, of the condition as described by the department heads. We have the inventory, the VIN numbers, the age of the vehicle, the cost of the vehicle. Our capital asset records are really good because we worked on updating them. They were criticized before, but now they're pretty accurate. So, and that's my communication back to this gentleman, that we will probably reduce the 2 costs where it says collect and review information and evaluate the fleet replacement practices, because we're going to tell them what was purchased here over the years and what trucks were purchased, et cetera, and it's going to describe that. Basically, the intent of the study from the beginning was to evaluate whether your fleet was adequate and to determine if there's any unusual vehicles that have to be replaced. That was the recommendation. So there'll be further discussion on this. I just want to, it fell basically pretty close to what our budget estimate was. And we'll talk about this in the future. But I wanted to give you that one page. I'm going to send you the full page, or I'll put the pages in your mailbox here.
And you'll make a recommendation?
I'm going to make a recommendation because I'm in negotiation with him, and I believe I already got this down about $1,000.
Okay.
So, and I'm not too sure all the tasks are necessary as described. So this will be in your mailbox, and maybe within 30 days, we'll talk about this one again.
Okay.
But these are the 3 studies that were sitting out there, and I wanted to report, because somebody asked me, what's going on with these things, so.
Good.
Thank you, T.C.
All right.
All right. Is that it then for your,
Yeah, I'm just
the comptroller's update?
concerned about the revenue side of the budget. It's, you got to match revenues and expenditures in your budget, and, we're just not performing well on the revenue side of the budget with the mortgage tax and the sales tax come in, the first quarterly payment come in a little bit below the budget estimate also. So we'll have to see where it goes.
okay, try our best.
Usually I bring you some good news.
You do.
But
Yeah, do that. That's your job for next.
Well, we like the truth,
you want
don't
the
we?
truth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good to know.
Gotta have the
Yeah, usually you can get some surplus created on the revenue side, and our budget is very tight. We
It's right down.
tried to match the revenues close to what we thought was the 2 or 3 year history, and it's tough.
It
Well, it's
is.
good that you keep adjusting it over the course
Yeah.
of the year
Yeah.
so that we.
No big surprise.
That's the key. You gotta adjust your budget as you go.
Yep.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you very much, TC. Okay, so finally, we have an update for our recreation department, so come on up. can bring some chairs, I think.
Yeah, should we scoot in a little closer here? Make room around the table?
Ken, want to bring your chair around? Just make some room. How are you, Scott?
Good.
I'm good, thanks. Pete? Come on over, yeah. Come on in. Maybe we'll just...
That mic right next to you is live too on the tape.
Testing.
Hi, everyone. Okay, maybe we'll just go around and introduce ourselves. Of course, I'm Aileen Moore, the supervisor.
Ken Burns, Ward 3.
Ken Schneider?
Dave Murray.
Brian Berg. Jim Bishop.
And who are you?
Scott Markson.
Thank you.
Kathleen Davis.
Emily Spencer.
David Ray.
Okay, so thanks so much for coming. We have a couple things to discuss. I know Kathleen wants to give us a little update on the master plan, and so do you want to go forward with that first, Kathleen?
Okay. Let's see, so I had given everyone a folder last week, the end of last week, with some information on the master plan at Hackett Hill and our proposed 9-hole disc golf course for that park that the Rec Commission voted to install and that the town agreed to fund at the end of last year. However, as we go forward, I kind of realized that technically we should revise the master plan so that the disc golf course is shown on the master plan. So it's kind of a simple addition to the master plan. And I actually gave everybody a copy of the original master plan that was devised for Hackett Hill back in the first rendition was in 2003, and then we had actually revised it again in 2007. We updated it for a couple of different additions to the site. So with that background material, I also included the present map for the park, master plan map. And I just plotted out on that map exactly where the 9-hole disc golf course will be. Did everybody get that information?
Yes.
Okay. So, basically we worked with the Rec Commission. We had a volunteer, Jared Secor, who came in, who was very interested. He was actually tossing the disc frisbee around over at Pinewoods one day and saw the groundskeeper over there and asked him about what are the chances of getting a disc golf course, and he said, I think they're putting one in at Hackett. So he was like, oh, so he came over and introduced himself, and he was actually, grew up in Hyde Park and went to school, I think, down south, and he studied landscape design, and I think he worked
North Carolina.
Yeah, and he worked at a golf course down there for a few years and became a disc golfer and is a plays competitively, and so he volunteered to
also helped design as well down there.
Yeah, design some courses. So he actually came into Hackett for us, and he lives actually on Mill Street, so he goes through there anyway and tosses the frisbee around. So he laid out the 9-hole course for us. And he did it in mind with the existing activity centers that are already there in the park, where the day camp congregates, the trail where the trails meander through the property, and put together a nice beginner's course on the west side of the property.
Yeah, I mean, Kathleen and I walked it with Jared, and he actually, made some fake boxes to simulate where we would be standing and throwing it, and then he had, some flags set up where the baskets would be. And the really nice part is, I mean, you've walked that park thousands of times, and you are in portions of that park that you've never been in before, the way this is set up. So it's nice that we're able to utilize this park in these areas that are not being utilized today, and there's really no damage to the environment, and it's just really, it's a good family outing, and I'm excited to be able to offer this in Hyde Park.
So Kathleen, is our next step then is to pass a resolution authorizing the update of this,
Correct.
the master plan?
Right,
Okay.
to
So-
include the addition of the 9-hole disc golf
Okay.
course there.
Good.
I'm sorry. Are the other elements of the master plan, like that beautiful parking lot design, is that still something that you hope to achieve in the future, or
Yeah,
are there other
actually-
changes?
Good question. I actually would like to, implement some of these other facilities to our master plan. This is the town-wide park for Hackett Hill. And we have the day camp there, the swimming pool is there, we have our special events there. Of course, the recreation offices there are in the historic home there on the site, the Hackett House. And the actual master plan does include a new swimming pool, a community center, and a new parking area, a design parking area. And last year, I actually submitted an application to New York State Parks for the funding of that parking lot, but it was not funded. So we are always looking, toward development, but again, with the amount of money in our rec trust fund, it's limited, and these projects are very expensive, and so that's why we're always seeking grant opportunities and grant funding to be able to put some of these necessary, at this point, very necessary items, onto this park. Our swimming pool was built in the late 60s. It's small, it's a trapezoid, it's 40 feet by 60 feet. It's so small, it's undersized for our community. And so that's an important, facility we would like to see built there within the near future. So anyway, but that's what where we're at tonight.
So we can put one on the agenda for our next meeting to pass the resolution and move the disc golf forward.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, great, thank you.
Can't wait.
Okay, so that brings us into the second part of our discussion, which, Kathleen provided a nice segue, just in terms of, making decisions as a community, as the rec commission, which I thank you all for giving of yourselves and your time to do that. It's an important thing.
I'm sorry,
Sure.
back on that, do we need a recommendation from the rec commission to
To-
update the master plan, or how does that work? I just want to make sure we're
I don't know what the
going through the right
official
steps on
process is.
that.
How did you adopt that? Is there something on our?
In our minutes,
code
we
that-
did, we could, probably the last year, we had made the recommendation for the town to fund the project, so it would just be, based on, I guess, that recommendation that the Hackett Hill master plan be updated.
Okay.
To include a disc golf.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, I just want to make
That's okay.
sure.
We
get
have
it done
We could take a
promptly.
vote right now, maybe.
Well, believe me, I was already tempted. We could probably get this done tonight, but it's probably better to be a little more organized. But, so anyway, so basically, we asked you here not just to discuss that, but just the Hackett House, where we are with that. And we have Pete Sotero here to give us an update. I mean, just to recap a little bit, Kathleen wrote a grant. We were able to obtain a very substantial donation from the Cunning Hackett that was passed through the Hyde Park Visual Environment for $29,500 to fund the repairs or restoration. I'm not exactly sure how it was written. Painting?
The repainting and repairs.
The
of
repainting and-
exterior repairs to the Hackett
for
House.
Hackett House. And so after that, we put it out to bid and then got two bids back, which I have copies for everybody if they want, but,
They're in the $50,000 range.
yeah, in the
weren't they?
$50,000 range. So clearly, we don't have enough money to to pursue that. So the point of asking you all to come in is, just to try to come up with a strategy. When we started discussing it, we realized, well, should we really invest a lot of money in painting when it's really a very temporary fix? And should we explore instead siding of it? And so Pete made some calls and got some feedback.
Couple contractors. Kathleen, I don't know, if you want to
No, go ahead.
start out, or you want me to go?
Yeah,
All right.
go
I'm going to pass out some pictures. I didn't know there was going to be this many folks here, so maybe we can...
We can share them, Pete. We don't
share. So I brought 10 copies, maybe Scott and I can share. We'll pass a couple around here. These are just pictures of the house, just for talking purposes. Everybody here. There's one down there, and you guys can pass out the rest over here. I mean, everybody knows. You guys are real familiar with it. All right. So I was asked to take a look at the potential for vinyl siding. And then also last week, Kathleen had also brought up about the potential for fiber cement board siding, which is also referred to as hardy plank, which I believe Kathleen has a sample also. It's a cementatious, siding, it's top of the line. I mean, we use it on a lot of our construction projects, mostly on new construction. I honestly didn't have a lot of time to really look into that because that option was just brought up last week. But one of the contractors that I met with last week, I did talk to him a little bit on it, and we'll get into that. So what I did was, we have the approximate square footage of the building. It's about 5,000 square feet of surface area. As far as the vinyl siding option goes, we were talking about using either 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch insulation backing. The window trim and the fascia boards would also be wrapped in white aluminum. And if you look at, you can look at, the pictures and you can see what I'm talking about as far as, the windows would have to, be wrapped. The second one in there, the second picture, most of the windows have a thicker trim around the outside. So if we were thinking about the vinyl siding option, as you can see, it's probably got about a good 1 to 1.5 inches of thickness there. And what that would do is that would allow the siding and the insulation backing to almost, match it. So you wouldn't have to, a lot of times if you've done it on your own house or it's on like my house, once you put the insulation and the vinyl siding over top of, the clapboard, that like the windows where they used to be level with the siding, now, the siding is out and, the windows, are sunken in a little bit. So, here we wouldn't really have that problem.
Actually, can I just interrupt
Sure.
you for 1 second? So, again, just going back to the thought process, it's a lot of money to paint it. It's kind of a temporary fix. But then the other information we kind of plugged in is that we looked at the utility costs for these buildings, and I didn't actually bring them with me, but it's somewhere like in around the $10,000 range to heat and cool this building. And so the other part of our thought process was, well, maybe we can also kill two birds with one stone in the sense providing greater insulation and possibly looking at the windows to reduce the utility costs, because basically it's money going up the chimney. So that's again why we're thinking that, I mean, from my opinion, that it seems like the siding is a viable option. So, sorry, Pete.
No, that's fine. So both of the contractors that I had brought up there, they were pretty comfortable with approximately $6 a square foot, and that would be to purchase and install the vinyl siding. So you're looking at approximately $30,000, 23 windows and three doors that would have to be wrapped at about $300 each. That's about $7,800, so you're at about $37,000.
For the vinyl and?
Yeah.
That doesn't include the?
No, the porch repairs, no.
Okay.
No, that's just for, the side.
What about the side of the house that's rotted?
You know what, we probably would have to include, and I probably should have said this earlier on, depending on which way that everybody thinks that they want to go, I want to do a little bit more here. This was just meant to give a general overview, like a budget. There's more things that we should be checking into depending on what option that everybody thinks is, the best. And honestly, that is one, because we are going to have to, where we had the ice damage over there, some of that old siding is going to have to be taken off, patched. So that should probably also, be factored in here.
And there was some carpentry work for the porch too, wasn't there?
Yeah,
That would
I
to
have
be
that on here.
underway.
I have that on here under, the porch repairs. So as far as the fiber cement board goes, one of the things that I'm not clear of, and one of the contractors said he'd have to look at it in a little bit more detail, is whether you'd have to take off the old siding, because this stuff is pretty, heavy. You can go feel it. You have to have something. You have to have something good, to attach it to. So I know when we use it on some of our projects, there's usually a sheeting that's behind it, either a plywood or an OSB product. So I'm not sure that the siding wouldn't have to come off. If it's able to leave the siding on, I think there'd have to be some kind of a leveling board or something put over the old siding so that this could be, attached to it securely. So if that's something that we are going to think about, I'd have to put a little bit more time into that. But we threw out a number. It's obviously going to be, quite a bit more than the vinyl siding. For right now, we threw a number of about $9 per square foot on it for about $45,000. And again, we'd still have the same number of windows and doors. So you're at about $53,000 on that, on the fiber cement board. But again, that's something that we'd have to spend a little bit more time with. The porch, you can see on the first picture is the porch. One of the things that would take some time, as you can see the upper trim, the ornate like features. We're going to think about doing that and trying to make it maintenance free. That would take some time, like to wrap. I did talk to one of the guys, and he said that he has done this type of work before, and it is.
You mean the elaborate brackets?
Yeah, the brackets there, to wrap that and to wrap, the columns. There'd have to be some, repairs done to the columns. You can see on the bottom.
Yeah, they're in
On
pretty
the
rough
bottom
shape.
portions of the column. But honestly, it's mostly
Yeah,
the ones
it's
on
just
the
trim.
front.
That's easily.
Yeah, it isn't anything that's a structural problem. These pieces here that you see that are rotten are just trim pieces
Okay, that's
that are put over top of the post. And really, it's only the ones on the front side that are, in bad shape. The porch columns that are on both sides are not really in that bad a shape.
Pete, when you say wrap them, you're talking with aluminum?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're not support structure, right?
Pardon?
They're just decoration.
Well, no, these
Support the-
columns are supporting the porch roof.
Porch roof.
But these little things here, David, the
little brackets.
Molding.
the brackets on the sides are just
All right.
trim pieces.
But they're fine, they're not rotted at all.
No.
Ones on top, those curved
No.
ones.
So as far as the porch, we plugged in approximately $3,500 for general porch column and fascia repairs. We plugged in maintenance-free wrapping of about $12,000. There's still the option of just painting it. So we put in about $5,000 there. So as far as the porch, you would have to do the general porch column and fascia repairs, And then, depending on which option that, you want to choose, obviously, the maintenance-free would be a lot more money. And again, I can get, a better price on that, but for right now, we just plugged in something on that.
Are
And
there any more copies of this, or do we have it on email or anything?
What, Pete's letter?
I don't know, I submitted it on
share.
Friday morning.
have it.
I thought
Is
it
it not
got,
in your packet?
I thought
I
it got,
don't see it in my packet.
I don't have
All
it.
right, oh.
I may have missed it by email, it's possible.
Did you all?
sorry, I would have brought extra copies. I thought everybody had it.
Yeah, I'm surprised Marie didn't make, but
You want me to
maybe
make
go
some
make it
copies?
now.
No, don't worry, we can look on.
No,
Oh, sorry about
Sorry, you
that.
know what? Why don't I?
It's all right. I can get it.
Yeah,
It's okay.
okay.
All right, so then I was also asked to take a look at the window replacements, and both guys felt that $750 each, would cover that we could certainly get a good quality replacement window for that, and that would be about $18,000 for the replacement windows. Like I said, I brought some copies.
So Pete, I'm sorry, a lot of numbers were thrown at tonight. So from start to finish, if we went with this type of siding, window replacement, porch repairs, what's the approximate?
52, 18, 70,000. We're probably talking
100?
85, like 100,000.
100,000?
To do the siding and the windows and.
Yeah,
Something like this.
Yeah.
But again, I need to put some more
Correct, I'm just.
time into this
right,
because
right.
I didn't have a lot of time on this one.
But we're approximately $100,000.
If you were going to go with the top,
So we'd have to,
Line.
right, so we'd have to come up with, at this point, 70,000.
Well, I guess that was what I was going to ask. Have we determined if that 30 from?
We haven't, but
Hackett-
that would be kind of
Yeah.
the next step. I was, looking for the feedback from the rec commission
Sure. Oh,
to see
okay.
which
Yeah.
direction they wanted to go, which they thought was the best solution
and I
to this
thought
problem.
there was also some talk about if this work, the painting was just going to be termed maintenance.
That's right, and
So there was some talk about if there was an upgrade, either with the windows or that it may be termed a capital improvement.
well, Warren.
I don't know if they've done
think
any more.
No, he ascertained
I
pretty
think you could cover
clearly
that
that.
under the.
With the rec trust fund?
Statute that deals with rec trust.
But then the question goes back to the rec commission, is that something that they would like to see funded? That they would like to fund?
So I drew the short straw.
Congratulations.
Just a coincidence we're tied, not that I don't like showing respect to you guys or anything, but we kind of are of the position that the rec trust fund should be used for new or to expand existing park facilities. We have a limited amount of money. I've been on the commission for a few years now. We've seen that depleted through projects that we've done to actually expand the parks and give our community different options. One of the latest ones is the wheelchair swing out at Greenfields. So we're looking for the board in the town, since it is a town building. Whichever way we go, I don't think we have a consensus yet, because really the pink elephant in the room is, how does this get paid for?
Exactly.
So we were looking and coming here and kind of wanted to communicate what we're at with it, what we believe, and from some of the things we looked at, different state controller opinions, 7.6, 1087, 78058, which do confirm that the trust fund should be used for new or expanding parks facilities. Obviously, as you know, we went and were able to secure 30,000. I know the visual environment held back 500 in case of taxes potential. I know, and I don't know if you communicated this yet, Kathleen, but Kathleen did. I know you guys had asked us to go back to Caneen Hackett, and was it today or last Thursday? You said, correct? Friday. Sent an email and waiting for a reply.
Did you ask for, what did your email say, Kathleen? Was it to say that you would, that we're considering siding it, and would they give us more money? Did it also say that?
I gave him an update on the project. You know, I basically told him that last spring, we had put the project out to bid, and that the bids came in almost twice as much as the amount that we had thought they were going to be, due to, you know, the fact that we have to hire prevailing wage, companies that pay prevailing wage, and that we're looking, you know, we're working with, that the town board, you know, rejected the bids, and that we were going to meet with the town board on Monday, and just to go over our options, you know, and I wanted to let him know that we're thinking of using siding in order not to have to paint it every 10 years and to come up with the same problem every 10 years. And so, yeah, and so then at the very end, I said, you know, I hate to have to ask you for more money, but, you know, with the town, you know, with the town's financial
Condition.
state and, you know, just the state of the economy, would, you know, would the trust be interested in perhaps, you know, giving us a few extra funds for the project? And I explained, too, that the Rec Commission didn't feel that, you know, the Rec Trust Fund should be used for this type of a project, and so that, you know, I'm kind of caught in the middle, and do you have any ideas or suggestions or extra dollars for us? So he hasn't replied yet, but I'm sure he's probably going to bring it to his next meeting.
Sure.
But
Well, thank you for that, Kathleen. You're always on top of the grants, and thanks for having that dialogue. I'm sure it wasn't exactly easy to ask for more money. But I appreciate your feedback then, and in the sense that what I'm hearing from you is that you'd prefer to keep the project within the monies that were allotted through this grant, and I think that that's really going to kind of dictate our course.
Yeah, I mean, well, partly. I mean, I think that unless there's some way we can wave a magic wand and get the prevailing wage going or something, I don't know that the project is going to be under that from the options that we have.
Well,
what I guess we're looking at is that, again, town building, maintenance, repairs, just like town hall, just like any other building, the town, as residents of the community, our expectation would be that the town takes care of it.
Yeah, well, I can understand that expectation, but I think you were here for the comptroller's report. We're way down in terms of our mortgage anticipated income. So, you know, sadly, I've been looking for that magic wand in my office. I haven't found it. Want it for sewer, want it for a whole bunch of stuff, and it's just not been there.
Yeah.
But this is one of the things. So, you know, we're going to have to explore and try to find the most reasonable option. I mean, that's the feedback I'm getting.
Would the commission, I mean, I'm always trying to figure out ways to make things happen as well. For every 50,000 that we spend, it adds like 1% to the budget. And then with the tax cap being at 1.45, I think this year, I believe it is, whatever. So say we have to come up with 70,000. Would the commission, and I know you guys can't answer that now, and the board can't answer, I'm just throwing these processes out. If we have to come up with 70,000, would the commission be willing to pay 50%, and then the board come up with the other 50%? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out other ways to make things happen.
I mean, that was our original throwback.
that was
Yeah, that was our original kind of solution.
Okay.
I wouldn't say, I mean, again, you know, we talked about it and we kind of compromised among ourselves.
Right.
We said, all right, 51,000, we got 30 from Canadian Hackett, we'll throw in 10, board throws in 10. My understanding is that was, you know, rejected.
Well, that's kind of why we wanted to.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, we need to have more dialogue. I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean, at this point, we don't even have concrete figures. I mean,
Yeah.
I really recommend that the board goes over and looks at the house. That the house is in poor shape, and unfortunately, over the years, there has been a lot of neglect, and we just there's pressures on this side, there's pressures on both sides, and you know when you tax cap kills us. I mean, we just don't have that mortgage tax flying in. But if there's a way that we can work with the board,
there is a fund balance, but you're talking about, you know, taking money from the fund balance is probably what would happen. That I don't see any other option if you were to pursue that.
Bonding?
But, pardon?
You know, putting the money in with a bond?
You could, yeah.
Maybe with the new 10-wheel truck, we could
Yeah.
throw another 20, 30 on top of that. Right.
Well, but I mean,
we
I'm
can put that
reading.
right on the wall. He won't notice.
But you know what, though? I mean, just like in your own house, you try to keep your borrowing to a minimum, right? Borrowing is
Yeah.
not for free. There's all these choices that every one of us has to make going forward with getting maximum results for our dollars. So, I'm just reading the minutes from your meeting, and it sounds like you would leave it to us to make it sounds like your first preference is to leave it to us to make the decision on whether to side or to paint. Would you say that's accurate? That's kind of what's in your minutes.
Well, I think it was more of, we were more concerned over whatever we do, the amount is over, and coming to, again, some sort of resolution on how that gets paid for. Just like you said, decisions you make in your house, as homeowners, I'm a homeowner here in the town, I have to make a decision, I have to upkeep my house. Otherwise, you have
Right.
people going to public forums saying we're not doing it.
Right.
Businesses, right, Ken? We
Right.
talked about it, or you were pretty proud you guys were able to get the whole bowl next to my office to clean up. So I kind of relate this
Yes.
to that
To that.
stuff. And again, the
Maintenance.
town's responsibility on it.
But I think the question was, did you guys have a preference on siding versus painting?
I don't know, we came to a conclusion because we were more focused in on, it doesn't matter because, the money's the issue. Yeah.
But
They're interrelated.
Sure,
issues, so-
absolutely, but, there is, obviously, every 10 years painting it, there's a historical part of the house. Again, the energy savings. We didn't discuss windows, certainly understand where you're coming from with that. So I think that's something that we could get a consensus on, but not, maybe a little misleading in the minutes, I don't know that we
the
have.
meeting, it kind of
Yeah.
said like you were
I guess-
basically kind of had the hands off, a little bit of a hands
If
off.
the town's paying for it, do whatever you want, right?
Well, we'd be paying for it from the
As long-
grant,
our con- Yeah, our
and so-
concern was Keneen Hackett Foundation, okay if we
Yeah,
did
that's
that.
my first
Yeah,
primary
absolutely.
concern,
So
too.
that was part of the question to Keneen Hackett, was whether they would pay for, if it was siding versus paint?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, I
great.
wanted to make sure it was okay with
Yeah.
them, that we sided.
But, at this point, we're going to have to put, in my opinion, and Pete, you're the professional here, the house can't go another winter the way it's.
Well, we have to repair the siding, and there are,
There's no
yeah,
doubt.
I mean, there
something
are.
needs to happen, and so a
There's certain
decision's going to need
things
to
that
be
have to be
made
done.
before winter sets in, so we can get contractors there and figure out what we're going to do, because we can't go, I can't climb up on that roof and shovel snow again. With the amount of water coming in, I just can't do that.
No.
I
And
think we have a lot more information
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It's good that you all came,
So I
and that we
think-
kind of know where each other.
so I guess what I'm stating is, I think the commission needs to come up with a plan. Is it painting or us? Is it painting or is it siding? And then come up with a dollar amount and then figure out, okay, how do we proceed?
Well, I
because
don't
something
know.
has to happen, right?
I think maybe we're going to put it out to bid. for
Well,
the
but we
siding.
need to know, we need to know what we're going to be putting out
Well,
the
we
bid.
need
I
answers
mean,
from Keneen Hackett.
Yeah.
first.
I think that's important to find out if there's still, if we did go to siding, whether they're still interested in putting in the money. Now, I don't know whether it matters that going to, a siding would be better from a longevity standpoint, be more like efficient.
Well, we
I
have-
don't know how that, factors into their decision
What's
making.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're looking at
Well, I know.
$10,000 a year to heat.
But I mean, in
the
their
whole
minds-
place, that's going to offset the additional cost to do the siding and the insulation. When you're siding it, you're insulating it as well as putting a siding,
Right.
material on top of that. So that in itself is going to make a huge difference than just repainting it.
Yeah. Well, we do have one of the, we do have the quotes for painting, right? They came in around 50 grand. Is that right,
Right.
Pete? So
Yeah,
so we do,
somewhere around.
so
That was
once,
the carpentry, the whole package,
the whole
right?
package.
No, I think the
No.
carpentry was
No.
extra.
That was
No,
not.
the carpentry was going to be an add-on, I think.
Yeah.
Here it is.
But it was
Yeah.
about almost, 58,000 maybe?
Total?
Thought around
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
we're
So
not looking at
41.
too much more with, either type of siding. Personally, I don't want to see the windows replaced. They can be repaired and reglazed.
And do you,
So-
what you say you have storms that you guys put up at? in
Yeah, we
the-
have storm windows, and I think they just need to be reglazed. I think the windows add an important character to the house, and to lose them with new, plastic windows, I would wait on that. I would wait to see how much we save in, oil with just the siding alone, could make enough of a difference for us.
Okay, so I think what we should do is go out to bid for the vinyl siding. That's my personal opinion. In order, we're on a bit of a time,
I mean, if we're talking, budget,
we're talking budget.
that's going to be, I mean, let's, be real. We have to
be
look
real.
at, money. I mean, I can get more information on, the hardy plank, but
And then, like
Gonna be
Kathleen said,
expensive.
she'd prefer to keep the windows, so we knock off 17 grand for that, and then focus on, making a decision on whether we scrape and paint the porch or do the wrapping, right?
Does the answer from Cadine Hackett have a bearing on whether you'd want to go out to bid on siding? If they say, no, we'll only pay for painting, I mean, are we still considering siding in that scenario?
I don't know,
I'm just
Yeah.
asking what order these things need to happen in.
Need to hear their response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This product right here, the information I read comes with a 30-year warranty.
Right.
Which is good
It is good
versus 10 years. by
for vinyl.
painting.
Oh, okay. And how about vinyl? What's
Vinyl.
the typical?
Vinyl's vinyl.
Vinyl.
It fades.
It'll outlet,
It
what was that?
gets dented.
It doesn't look good for long.
Yeah.
It's just another, it's a quick, easy fix.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with going out to bids is, let's just say it's gonna come in 30. Well, everything we put out for 30 so far has come back for 50. So we'll be right back with a double bid from two companies, one out of Pleasant Valley, one out of the city, with an outrageous bid again. We'll be nowhere.
Well, yeah, and I think that's, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
With the amount
Yeah,
of
go
work,
ahead.
though, that needs to be done on that house, I don't think 50,000 is an outrageous bid.
No.
I really
I agree.
urge you all to get up there and walk around.
Oh,
the
I've been there.
house
Yeah,
and-
Aileen-
I've been there, yeah, I know what it's, the condition, yeah, mm-hmm, yeah.
To get up there and see.
No, it absolutely does. So that's kind of my goal is,
The impression that, again, it makes on the townspeople and the people that are sending their children to camp. Hopefully, we want them to continue to send their children to camp. That could, looking at that as a parent would discourage me.
I don't want to be a pound foolish and penny wise, I think that's how the quote
Okay.
goes, or, we also need to be good stewards of what we're responsible for today. And we also have future generations that we have to hand this to. And this is a beautiful home, it's a beautiful park, I think it has great historic value, and I understand all the pressures that we're under, from that side and from a resident's side. And that's why I think we really need to get some concrete figures, and if the rec is willing to work with us with some of the trust fund, we'll find out what Canadian Hackett has, and that's really, because right now, we're juggling balls in the air, we
well,
really
so
don't have
do you
concrete.
think we should not go out to bid for,
Well, I
to
mean-
get a
For vinyl,
for
I
vinyl?
don't, I think vinyl is a quick fix for us. And painting is a quick fix. I mean, if we're gonna do anything for siding, I think it'd be good to at least get information on this, because, it's, I think everyone's been to Hackett Hill, they see the historic value of what that brings to that park, and it's a beautiful home, and I would hate to put siding on it, then 15 years from now, I hope I'm still living in Hyde Park, and we look at it and say, oh my God, that looks like crap. And then it's like, wow, I get concerned about that. And I understand your concerns.
Okay.
I sit up there with you, and we get pounded. I understand, and that's why I said for every 50,000, that goes over the tax cap. And I can guarantee you next year, because we only get 2-year terms, I'm going to have a boatload of people standing there saying, "You guys went over the tax cap, and you guys are na." We get beat. We're like
What
wet
is the
dogs that
next-
get beat.
What is the next step then? What
The
is
next step for me, I think, is we really need to get Pete up there and figure out what this costs to
But wouldn't that
actually
be
do the
going out
whole
to
house.
bid?
Prices is to put it out to bid, right?
No.
Because otherwise, we don't get real prices.
Well, I mean, we can get pretty close. It's
Okay.
just, the thing you have to figure out is if you have to go take off
And we don't know.
Yeah.
what's there. And I don't know that.
Why is this even being brought up? This is so new.
No.
Do we know that much about it?
What's so new?
The-
This
the
stuff?
Hardy
It's
one.
not,
It's been
it's
around a
not
while.
new.
So
Yeah.
expensive? What?
What?
It's
been
just a different
around-
product.
All right.
Yeah,
10 years, maybe?
It's either the vinyl or this, or?
or paint.
For the most part.
I mean, we're
Vinyl,
trying-
this,
like a-
or painting.
It's like a smorgasbord. We're trying to find out.
Not a combo, though.
There's no,
No, well, it could be a
But I
combo,
can
because
just,
we might
the
have to
only
change
thing,
the
the only thing that I, well, not the only thing. One of the things that I can say about it, if we have to take off the siding, then we got to be prepared for stuff that we're going to find underneath the existing siding. And that could lead to, and I'm not trying to discourage anything, but if it comes back where we talk to certain contractors and they say, look, you have to take it off, or maybe it's just as easy to put like a leveling board over the whole thing, but then you got to build out, the windows and all that can be done, but I would try to stay away from taking off
Correct.
that, existing siding, because, man, I just think that's going to open up a whole can of worms that we don't want to get into.
So it sounds like we
So-
still have some more homework before any,
Yeah, I mean, this,
We'll have to get that done. Pete,
well, I thought, again, I thought we were leaning towards, the vinyl, honestly. And then last week,
Yeah.
when Kathleen brought up about this, I just didn't have enough time to put it, together. So, I mean, I can look into this. We just need to all, realize that it's going to be quite a bit, more. And
Ken, maybe you can
And
set
that's
up a
fine.
meeting with
That's
TC to talk
your
about the
decision.
money side.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, we don't have any.
right.
That's
I
it,
know,
and,
I know.
and so that'll
You know,
kind of be,
so
you'll need to kind
yeah.
of look, investigate
Right.
where that.
And I get that, and I
25
and I'll do that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go back to like the dump truck. It's a need, and it's something that we have to have. When people walk up there and you see this house, and you see the condition of this house, this is not a want factor
not
anymore. It's
saying
a
that
need.
And none of
Whether
it,
or
we're,
not.
we're not arguing that it
Right.
shouldn't be
Right,
done. I
but I'm
think
just
that's
saying that
why
you need
we're
to
all
figure
here.
out where we're going to get the money from.
I get it.
That's all,
I
yeah.
get it.
So-
No, we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Sure, Brian.
Madam Supervisor, just kind of looking towards concluding this tonight.
Yeah.
The rec commission was in solidarity with a couple things that we wanted to communicate to the board.
Sure.
Can we have a
And,
mic?
You know, most of the conversation had, I don't know.
It's for TV, for people on TV.
Otherwise
Most
you'll
of the
get yelled at.
conversation has been monopolized by siding, painting, cement, lapboard. The rec commission is not really concerned as a significant point of interest with that.
Okay.
We realize that the pocketbook will dictate, is painting every 10 years, that expense doable? Is vinyl every 20 or 25 years better for the pocketbook? Or is there enough money in the pocketbook to go with the top-of-the-line product? Okay? The rec commission would like to communicate to the board. Ken mentioned it. That building probably will not survive another winter.
We're with you.
Also, remember what started this in the first place. The health department wrote up a violation of the condition of that building. And if it doesn't get addressed, they're going to shut that building down. And the rec commission wants to keep that in the forefront, along with the fact that it's a town facility, and everyone realizes the economic strain. We have it as individual homeowners. But either that building is maintained by the town, or that building will be condemned and shut down. There isn't any place in between. And the rec commission, as overseers of the rec fund, are not willing to finance the maintenance of that building. And that's what we wanted to communicate to the board.
That gap.
So we-
Okay, that's
Thanks.
good. Thank you for that.
Siding, lapboard, paint, whatever the town can afford, whatever
Appreciate
whatever committee thinks is appropriate, we're all for.
That's good.
It either has to be done, or the building's going to
be condemned.
I'm not sure about condemned, if that's the proper term.
Well, I'm not sure if that's the correct terminology.
term, yeah,
But
I'm
with
not
the
sure.
lead paint, the health department has made it
Yeah.
very clear, they will not allow us to use that building, okay? So whether condemned is the right term or not, that's not my purview, I don't know. But the building is in need of
It's in dire
maintenance.
need.
It needs to maintain, and the rec commission money is not going to fund that maintenance.
Okay, that's why it really is a dollars and cents
That's why we're
decision of
here.
the board.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. We feel the time pressure as you do, so let's get going on it and try to wrap up the bid process. For me, I'm much made my my statement very clear. I'm in favor of vinyl. I think it's the right solution. I think that we're living in a situation where money matters. So let's
Well,
go forward.
You know,
with-
and we would need to get something out to bid in probably August. I would say mid to late
so that we can get
August
it done
to have
as
a
well.
shot at getting it done before, the weather turns bad. And Kathleen, do you have the report from the county health department? He was
Yeah.
referring to? Could you either put a copy in my box or send me over an email or something? I'd like to
Okay.
see it and maybe talk to them a little bit about it too.
Yeah, but I think we feel the time pressure. We agree with you. It's time to get this done, and we're going to be looking at it through the lens of what we can afford. Well put. Okay, so
Yeah,
thank
I mean,
you.
That's what we needed, this information and feedback.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you guys came, and now we all have more information to work with. So.
Yep, okay.
Thank you for your
Thanks
time.
very much.
Sorry you
Yeah,
guys
thank
didn't
you.
have this.
I'm sorry, Marie didn't, I can have Marie do it.
Thank you,
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Commissioners.
All righty.
I'll tell you later.
Just describe it as a special meeting. All righty. So,
No longer have an audience.
it's a good technique. All right, so moving on, we have now the opportunity for public comment on either resolutions or any new or old town business. Doesn't look like we have anybody in the audience, so moving on, we'll go to the resolution phase of our meeting.
Resolution 714-1 of 2014, resolution authorizing the purchase of 3 new copiers and the buyout of current leases on copiers for offices within Town Hall, Recreation, Highway, and the Police Department.
Do we have a
Second.
second? And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 714-2, 2014, resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a lease agreement with the Hyde Park Central School District for the senior center at Hyde Park Elementary School.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 714-3 of 2014, resolution approving alcohol use at the Hyde Park Rotary's Horseshoe Tournament at Hackett Hill Park.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
On the one about the school district, when I looked at that lease, it says 11 months, and then it has 12 in parentheses, so I just noticed that was a typo in the actual.
We haven't signed it
No.
yet, so we can change it. Somebody.
Resolution 714-4 of 2014, resolution authorizing police officer Thomas Marabella and Martin Monaco school resource officers to attend the State Preparedness Training Center course initial response to active shooters on July 28th through July 30th of 2014.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
That looked like a really great thing that they're
Yeah.
going and
Yeah,
taking
absolutely.
advantage of that, yeah.
And it's free.
And it's, well, except for the time and travel.
Right.
But, yeah.
No
Resolution-
additional cost.
Right. 714-5 of 2014, authorizing the release of road opening bond.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 714-6 of 2014, resolution authorizing the release of a driveway bond for property located at 152 Roosevelt Road, Lot 1.
Second?
And all in favor? Aye.
Resolution 714-7 of 2014, resolution authorizing the release of a driveway bond for property located at 83 Peach Road, Lot Number 3.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye. Resolution 714-8 of 2014, resolution authorizing the release of a driveway bond for property located at 178 Cardinal Road.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 714-9 of 2014, resolution authorizing the release of a driveway bond for property located at 80 Rogers Road.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 714-10 of 2014, resolution authorizing the release of a driveway bond for property located at 9 Quail Ridge Road.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye. Resolution 714-11 of 2014, resolution authorizing return of the balance of escrow funds for St. James Antiochian Orthodox Church. Did I skip it?
You did.
I am so
He
sorry.
just
Go
wanted
next.
to do it.
I'm so sorry.
I'll go next.
Second.
And all in favor? Aye.
I saw your fingers. I was like, okay, I think I went out of turn.
Resolution 714-12 of 2014, resolution extending the secretary to the supervisor's work hours to 37.5 hours per week to oversee facility operations for the town offices.
So,
This is
yes,
great.
second, yeah, so essentially, we don't have a point person for any of our facilities, which is kind of crazy, considering how many that we do. So, we have been struggling with this. We haven't had maintenance contracts on our furnaces or some of these other things, so that's why we're extending Marie's hours. She's going to be the point person for any complaints and just kind of overseeing all the facilities.
Okay.
So we're hoping that that's enough time.
Including
to-
Hackett Hill.
Don't bring
That's
that
a
up right
facility.
now.
It's a facility.
Yeah.
Second?
Just to clarify that, though, that's part of Kathleen's salary as the rec director, is she's kind of oversees a lot of the parks. And if we didn't have her doing that, we would certainly have needed a much
Absolutely.
more complete facilities manager.
Yeah.
So she does
Great job.
contribute a lot that way, so really appreciate that.
I second already.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 714-13 of 2014, resolution approving the budget revisions for Town of Hyde Park for the period of June, budget revision number 2014-06.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye. Are we on 14? Mm-hmm. Resolution 714-14 of 2014, resolution authorizing police assistant vacation carryover.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 714-15 of 2014, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign a municipal services agreement with the county of Dutchess for the supply of gasoline and maintenance to the town of Hyde Park for town hall, police, and recreation vehicles.
And we have a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
We get our gas, though.
I know, I don't know why it says that. We get our gasoline through the Hyde Park Central School District,
Right.
but we do have the county maintain our vehicles, some of them,
right,
not
right.
all.
We did this last year, and it was like optional, like we were
Yeah. We
don't
leaving the
have
option
to,
open,
so,
but we
right.
don't have
Exactly.
to use
And
it.
it's their standard agreement.
I got you.
So
Because
that's why.
doesn't the highway do some of the maintenance?
They do.
And-
Yeah.
so-
And so it just enables us to
If we
do it.
want
If we need
Yeah.
to, I got you, okay. Resolution 714-16 of 2014, resolution accepting bid of Callahan Industries Incorporated at lowest responsible bidder for 2014 highway blacktop work.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And do you know, I'm sorry, do you know offhand what roads are going to be blacktop?
Not off the top of my head.
Do you
He gave us a list. I know
He said
Mill,
White
Some
Oak,
of it's Mill,
Mill.
yeah, and that's,
White Oak.
isn't it
Some
one
of
off
White
of White
Oaks.
Oak, or is it the actual?
I thought White Oak.
Yeah,
And Mill.
it's
and I thought he was
White
doing
Oaks.
all of Mill with the CHIPS money that we received. Now he's going to complete the whole Mill Road.
All of it?
I thought so.
White Oaks and what he could do on Mill. I'm not
On Mill,
sure.
right.
I think it was as far as he could get on
Far as
Mill.
he could,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's a long road.
Yeah, you're right.
714-17 of 2014, standard workday and reporting resolution is required by the New York State Comptroller. On Ken Schneider is Ward 4 councilman.
Yeah.
Where is
that's
that?
the only different.
Under title, about 2/3 of the way down the page.
Oh, right. So we just have to correct that. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I took over Ward 3.
You did, yeah.
Donna, can you make note of that,
You're up,
please?
I think you can do both.
Yeah.
Okay. Resolution 714-18 of 2014, resolution appointing Christopher Craig to the Conservation Advisory Council.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
And we thank Chris Craig for stepping forward and wanting to contribute his time to the CAC.
Resolution 714-19 of 2014, resolution reappointing water committee members.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
I was wondering why one of them goes to 19. Is it like some kind of a cycle?
For
or-
Greenbush?
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be. It must,
Wait, the resolution originally, when they formed the committee,
Oh.
those, in that particular advisory committee, they had them on a rotation.
Oh,
every year.
okay.
And on the greenfields, they all expire at the same time.
Ah, okay.
okay, so we have a second? Somebody did, and all in favor?
Aye.
You want me to skip you?
Yeah, go ahead. Resolution 714-20 of 2014, resolution accepting donation from the Rotary Club of Hyde Park.
Second.
And this is very nice. Just to let people know, the town board of the town of Hyde Park does hereby accept a donation from the Rotary in the amount of $1,856 to be utilized to offset the town's expenses for maintaining the flower beds at the crossroads. So
Oh, that's
that's
nice.
nice, yeah,
Very nice.
because they're really kind of falling
That's
into
great.
disrepair. So that'll be nice that we can utilize that. Okay, so we need a motion.
Did we vote?
For the meeting, you can just set the public, you can just.
Oh, I don't need a
we vote on
resolution?
it?
Oh,
It's your decision.
No, we didn't
Okay.
vote.
We
We
didn't
didn't vote
vote on
on the last one.
oh, sorry.
Should we-
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, we don't vote on it at all, Warren? You just, okay, so we're going to set a special meeting for the town board and the planning board to take place at 7 PM on the 30th of July to discuss potential zoning revisions. And I asked everyone by email if they could be here, and we've confirmed that. And I think that everyone from the planning board can be here as well, so
Great.
look forward to that. It's a Wednesday night. I do have a nice letter from the Hyde Park Free Library to read.
Good.
And it's really very rewarding to get a pleasant letter. And but on behalf of the board of the Hyde Park Free Library, and certainly on my own behalf, I would like to offer you and the town board our sincere thanks for permitting us to use your auditorium for our June 24th featuring area favorite Helen Avakian, joined by internationally acclaimed guitarist Muriel Anderson, making a rare area appearance. As I mentioned in my initial letter of request, the demand for seats for this show was much higher than our normally quite comfortable living room comfort series could accommodate. The fact that we could move it to a larger and easily findable venue right across the street from us was immensely helpful. For that, we are most grateful. I might add that all of the town hall staff I dealt with, Marie Smith and Donna McGrogan in particular, were very gracious and helpful. Please extend them and all your staff our sincere thanks as well. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Donna.
If I may be allowed a brief anecdote, I was in a bit of a rush the afternoon of the concert, as we also had a ribbon-cutting ceremony for our joint project with the Hyde Park Rotary Club, the Hyde Park Little Free Library Book Exchange. I was permitted a few words and mentioned how I might have to rush off to meet with the town police about opening up the building. As I was speaking, it occurred to me that the same kind of community spirit and cooperation that had our library and the Rotarians collaborating on this exciting project was reflected in the town board's willingness to let us share their space for an evening. It's the kind of spirit that makes living and working in the town of Hyde Park so special. I thank you and the town board for your help in making this evening a success. And that's from sincerely Gregory Callahan, Director of the Hyde Park Free Library. So that was just really nice, and thank Mr. Callahan for sending that to us, and our staff for always being so pleasant. So
I just wanted to give a shout out, and I apologize to the Recreation Commission. The 4th of July parade was fantastic. You know, we had the rain at the tail end there, though, but, you know, a lot of residents came out, and it was just a great day. And I also want to thank Roundout Savings Bank for their sponsorship. That, you know, the whole executive team showed up that day, and were out there supporting our parade. And,
Nice.
You know, it was a great day, so thank you for all the hands involved there as well.
I agree. Okay, so with that, can I have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close?
Oh. Oh, okay, sorry. Can I have a motion to enter executive session for brief update on the
Motion to
legal?
enter brief executive session.
Oh, action will be taken. Whoa, stay
I mean,
tuned.
motion. We didn't have.
Well, then I guess we have to vote on that. Can I make a motion? We got to make a motion.
I did make
Motion
one.
to enter executive
I'll
session.
make a second one.
And all in favor?
Aye. When there's action, Donna,
Like
we're at it.
that hill,
We're
right?
running,
I didn't
baby.
even think about it.
I do.
Okay.
I don't, but I do probably want to put it into the minutes if you'd like to.
Okay, so.
I usually work.
Oh, so can I have a resolution to return from executive session? And, and all in favor? Aye. And there was a decision made that Donna will put into the minutes. And now can I have a resolution to close the meeting?
Make a motion to close the meeting?
Yes.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
It's all right.
We didn't hear it.
Oh, sorry, Steve.
Oh.
Okay.
Want to open it again?
It's pretty straightforward. But we did tell everybody to wait, sorry. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Okay, and
Good
Warren
night.
left,
Yeah, Warren left.
All right.
Thank you.
All righty.
Anytime.
Thanks.
We could put it back. Oh, well, I don't know if we should.
I know, it's like, I don't think you can.
Leave
put
it?
underneath.
Yeah.
Leave
Right?
it?
So then what's his name? Take care of it tomorrow?
Who?
Don is been out
vacation.
for 2 weeks, and now.